There are three things that you need to remember from Chapter 9. The Continental Congress of 1776 called upon the colonies to draft a new constitution, and with this, the creation of the Articles of the Confederation began. The Articles of the Confederation did not work at all. There are too many power struggles between the state and national government. The Founding Fathers knew that it needed to be revised, and so in 1787, 55 delegates from several states came together to revise the Articles. In 1788, the Constitution was officially adopted and it took full effect. In Chapter 10, there are also a few very important things you need to know. George Washington is elected first official president under the United States Constitution. His vice president was John Adams, his Secretary of State was Thomas Jefferson, his Secretary of the Treasury was Alexander Hamilton, and his Secretary of War was Henry Knox. Also, John Jay becomes the first Chief Justice. In 1797, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution were adopted. They are also known as the Bill of Rights. Jefferson and Hamilton duke it out about the creation of the National Bank and what it would do for and against the economy. This is partially the reason for the formation of the political parties of the time, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. Chapter 11 has multiple events that are important. Jefferson's Revolution of 1800 was the rise of Jeffersonian politics and began the era of strict interpretation of the Constitution. The Louisiana Purchase was arguably one of the most significant acts of the Jeffersonian presidency. His decision to purchase this was not explicitly allowed by the Constitution, and therefore was completely against his strict interpretation of the Constitution, but necessary action for the growth of our nation. Macon's Bill 2 was an attempt in 1810 to review trade mainly with France by cutting off trade with Britain whenever possible. This was unfortunate because France did not honor its commitment to stop its siege of American ships, and America had hurt the already damaged relationship with Britain even further. There are some things that you have to remember from Chapter 12. The Treaty of Ghent was signed on December 24, 1814, and was basically an acknowledgement of a draw in the War of 1812. James Monroe ushered in a short period of one-party rule that was some called the era of good feelings, but it would eventually lead to an era of not so good feelings and disgruntled the South and favored the North. Right after the era of good feelings, in 1819, there was a paralyzing economic collapse that left the nation in panic. It brought deflation, depression, bankruptcies, a spike in unemployment, and soup kitchens. Chapter 13. The Rise of Mass Democracy, Jackson, 1824-1840. Jackson lost the 1824 election to Adams because of what he called the corrupt bargain involving Henry Clay's convenient seat as Secretary of the State after a sudden drop out of the race for president. Jackson will win 1828 election due to New Revolution politics, bare-knuckle politics. During the presidency, Jackson will have to fight the Bank of the U.S., accept nullification of Tariff 1828, create and enforce Indian Removal Act. Chapter 14, these are some things you have to remember. With Jackson removing the Native Americans in the immediate western United States, it opened up a lot of land for America to continue westward expansion. 1 million Germans poured into the United States between 1830s and 1860s because of crop failures and Revolution War in Germany. Most of the German immigrants in 1848 immigrated in 1848, hence the name the German 48ers. This was important because it created a whole new group of people that politicians had to woo. As the Industrial Revolution spread to the United States, it was obvious that America was destined to be an industrial giant because of its cheap land, rich people, and ready to invest in the amount of raw materials that were easily accessible. Chapter 15. Religion was key in this period. Protestant Christianity and Catholicism strengthened their beliefs and their numbers while some new versions, or as some of the people in the time saw it, perversions of Christianity started sprouting up. These included Unitarianism, Deism, Mormonism, and the Adventists. This time was called the Second Great Awakening by the Christians because of the spike in attendance in churches and the new interest by the general populace and religion. Also during this time, the idea of tax-supported mandatory schools started to become very popular, and in 1838, free public education triumphed with the election of Jackson. Noah Webster with his blueback speller, and William H. McGaffey with the McGaffey Readers helped standardize education.